Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me, as always, the Brothers of Destruction, Turtle Bear Man, and Ice Brand Studios themselves, Nate and Willie. Introduce yourselves, my good sirs. One day I'll pick an intro and stick with it, but this week I fucked it all up.
Hey man, like you said, just keep playing with those intros. You'll find one you like eventually. This is Nate.
Hey, this is Willie. I'm introed. I'm introduced. How are you? It is a pleasure to meet you. Enchanté.
I have a buddy named George. When he meets somebody, he'll be like, "Nice to meet you," and he'll go, "Yeah, it was your pleasure." Every time. Or he'll say, "Yeah, it is nice to meet me," and but for some reason, no one takes it as him being a dick because he's just a very charming dude. And quick fun story about him. He's sitting in my garage one time and he's wearing a cut-off tank top shirt, and we were sitting there smoking, and I looked at him and I said, "Oh, did you got the guns out to impress my mom?" And he went, "Or your dad."
That is the most correct response.
Dude just constantly nailing his speech rolls.
Yeah. He's a DM, so yeah, he is good on hitting speech rolls for sure. Before I forget, up front, I want to give a big shout out to one Cthusiast Jeff. He heard me talking that work hasn't been so great and stuff, so he upped his Patreon by a good amount, and I fucking appreciate you, my good sir.
Yo, Jeff, you the man.
Thanks, Jeff.
I do try to put Patreon money towards things for the show, like buying a little bundle to add something, or putting it aside for maybe a new mic or things like that, just in case this one ever fucks up and things. But right now, the Patreon past couple of weeks has helped me put a little money towards gas in my truck to even get to places I need to go, because I haven't worked. So thank you, good sir. I'm rambling. Anyways, I appreciate you, Jeff. So shout out. And if anybody else would like to join the Patreon, it's patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast. And I don't think I've ever promoted that this early in the episode, and I feel bad about it. So let's move on. I don't really have much to start with other than Nate, my good sir.
Yo.
You have embarked on something that I have had little to no interest in. I'll watch it, but me doing it myself, it is too stressful, sir. And what I'm talking about is speedrunning. So I am completely ignorant. I need to learn. So I'm going to, I want you to fill me in. Kind of tell me about how speedrunning goes, what goes into it. What the fuck is a split? I need to know these things, sir.
Well, to start off, speedrunning is one of those things that I've really been interested in a long time, but it's one of those things that's also super intimidating to get into, because, as y'all know, I like retro games, and I prefer Nintendo NES games the most. And if you look at the most popular games, they already have some incredible speedrunners that are just dominating the boards on them. Ninja Gaiden is pretty locked down by Arcus, and then your Castlevanias, your Super Marios, anything like that. It just has the most top level gameplay that's just ridiculous to try to break into. So the way I looked at it is I want to play a game I really love, but I also want to play a game that's not super competitive, because I would rather be competing more against myself than the other times that people have already set. That way I'm not beating my head against the wall, getting upset that I can't get close to this 5-minute Super Mario Brothers time.
Yeah.
So the game I have chosen to speedrun is Predator for the NES, based on the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
And for some reason, starring Quentin Tarantino in the game is.
Yeah, Dalton thinks that the character model looks like Quentin Tarantino, which I think's hilarious.
And
The big mode one, yeah, I can see it.
And I have to say,
a little.
I have to give credit to Canadian Dalton for that one. He's the one that pointed it out, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And Canadian Dalton is our buddy Palsh.
It was Palsh that said that. That's right.
But when as soon as he said that, I couldn't unsee it. And then I was just like, "Oh man, I bet that sprite's just hoping for a pretty lady to come by with no shoes on."
But yeah, man. So getting into the process is one of the things that you mentioned wanting to know more about is something called splits. And so splits essentially is like you're timing your entire speed run, but splits are little segments of that speed run so that you can keep track of how you're performing up to a point in the run. So like the way I have my split set up is there's a split for each level in the game. So when I beat a level, I can see how much time it took me to beat that level, and if that's faster or slower than my previous runs on that level, so that I can kind of have a picture of how this run is performing compared to previous runs that I've done.
Okay.
So splits is basically just like laps on a timer if you're doing a race.
Okay. That makes sense. So like that would be then like the person who's just kind of standing there with the little clicker and they just
exactly
as they go. Gotcha. Okay, well that makes more sense because I kept hearing y'all, like both of you guys in the chat and then like you on the stream referencing splits and things like that, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but I'm playing Fallout 3, so I can't alt tab out and ask, so I just have to sit here and wonder until I can talk to them.
I definitely had an alt tab moment the other night while playing Fallout 3, but yeah, so, and like I said, it's intimidating to get into, so I got to shout out a couple people that, helped me feel better about, like Grim, our buddy Grim, him, and then there's this guy that I've rated a bunch of times on my own streams who speedrun Super Mario 2 called Kurt's Newbrand. Follow him on Twitch at twitch.tv/Kurt's Newbrand. It's a Super Mario Brothers 2 speedrunner, and both of those people have been super encouraging and helping me get into speedrunning itself, and both were really excited when I actually finally picked a game to go on, so it's been really good to have that community that's supportive of something like this.
Yeah, for sure, man. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, follow, is it Usurper Grim on Twitch as well? I don't think he's got any underscores or anything like that. Yeah, so Usurper Grim. Yeah. If you remind me afterwards, I'll put links to their Twitches in the show notes. So
yeah, I just said Grim without saying the Twitch because I assume everybody that listens to us knows Grims.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, but some people might not. Yeah.
You're right.
What is it, like Vince McMahon? Hey, pal, every Raw could be somebody's first Raw.
Yeah, Grim, great dude. Definitely follow him. But yeah, so it's been an interesting ride so far because it's like I said, it's my first speed run, and I'm just getting my first sets of splits done and getting into it. And so I finally have my own times to compete against now, so it's been really fun seeing if I'm doing better or worse while I'm doing it.
Now, do you have a goal? Like, is there like a goal time that you're shooting for?
So currently, my goal is to beat the game on a continuous run with no continues. Because originally my goal was just to get a time that was within 2 minutes of the worst time on the speedrun.com leaderboard. Well, I have a run now that I did personal bested today, PB'd, that was at a little over 20 minutes. That is 7th on the leaderboard. It would be 7th if I submitted it, but I'm not quite ready to submit it as it is.
Oh.
So a lot of the runs for this game, it didn't start to get run at all until about 9 years ago when a player named D. Tysonator, best known for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out related feats, set a record for it. I think he was the only submitter for the game at the time. So some of the times on the board are very unoptimized because it's before people started running the game with strats and stuff. But now there's people that are actually pretty hard on the game. So Nate's competing. He's competing with old times right now, but pretty soon he's going to be getting up onto more modern times, and that's going to be kind of awesome to see. But his best time from the last session would have been enough to beat the world record in 2013.
Jism.
If only I'd have started this 12 years ago.
Oh man, that's fucking impressive, bro. That's impressive. I told you guys this in chat. The only game that I've ever played that, as I was playing it, I was like, this could be fun to speedrun. I actually gifted you both last night with Shadowblade Reload.
Oh yeah, okay.
And in thinking about it, I don't think I meant speedrunning it. I would really like to 100% that game, but I don't know. I don't know if I could speedrun it. It's definitely got the aesthetic and gameplay for it. You could absolutely try to speedrun it. I'm just bad.
Well, a lot of speedruns have multiple categories too. There's any percent, which is just beat the game, and then there's 100% speedrunning where the goal is to get all the relevant items and stuff. So, for a lot of games, the 100% is the most contested category. So maybe you could speedrun getting everything, really, collect it all.
There was a night that we were playing Final Fantasy 14, and they just started looking up speed runs, and they have that game on there, but it's broken down by dungeons. So like each dungeon has a speedrun rank and everything. So I was like, fuck it, because they had it running with a group and then running it unsynced solo, which is like you going in there a level 16 dungeon, but you're max level, so you can just haul ass through it. And I did it, and I think my time was like five minutes, a little less than that, and the world record time was like a minute and a half quicker. And I'm like, how? I sprinted at every chance I could, and it's because I think it's Dancer, it might be Bard. One of them gets a move that shoots them forward a good distance, so they're able to use that as well to make up more time. But so like, okay, so I have dipped my toe into speedrunning, but I did not know any of the terms you were using. I was completely lost, but I enjoyed watching you do it, and I suggest that any of our listeners should go subscribe Turtle Bear Man on Twitch and watch the journey yourselves.
Thank you. Yeah, and like I said, I've had some extra time this week because my wife's out of town in Chicago for a convention, so I've just been getting off of work and getting on Twitch, so it's been kind of fun.
You completely threw me off last night. Or no, I'm sorry, it was today. Or was it last night? It was one of the two. I saw you were streaming, and I looked at the time, and I was like, oh man, I need to figure out if I'm working tomorrow. And then I'm like, because I'm thinking it's Wednesday, and then I looked and I'm like, wait, it's Tuesday. Oh, never mind. Like, but yeah, I was real confused.
Yeah, put in some extra time this week, a little bit of extra time. But I definitely relate to the whole like speedrun versus completionist type thing, because I used to be more of a completionist type person. I'd get in a game. Obviously, you saw me do stuff like that with Dragon Quest XI when I got every Steam achievement available. So I felt like now was a good time to get into a game where I wanted to try to play it fast.
Yeah, understandably so. Hey, like take a break from seeing it all and just trying to now you want to see it in a blur. Just go right by.
Just pretend you're Sonic the Hedgehog in any game.
Always thought you'd have an aptitude for speedrunning based on those streams you've done where you like minimize deaths on Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, games like that. So I figured that you'd eventually get into it, but you seemed like intimidated by the really competitive nature. So I'm glad you finally found a game where it's like you can get a top 10. You have a top 10 time, not submitted yet, but done. So like you found a game that you enjoy a lot, that it cries out to you. You have a personal attachment to, but you can still be in the scene.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that it'll transition into more popular games eventually too, if I continue to enjoy the process of learning and playing these games. But I needed something like this to get me into it where I just wasn't so freaked out and intimidated by the scene around it.
Right. Didn't want to start off by trying to score 231st place in Legend of Zelda or whatever.
Exactly.
What is it speedrun.com?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look up something really quickly if you guys would just vamp for a second.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, speedrun.com is the main hub for most video game speedruns, except for games that have like scenes on their own sites. Like Quake and Doom both had speedrunning communities before SRC showed up, so they have their own like main sites.
Oh, Dalton is
what is it, Dalton?
Dalton
is losing
right now.
it.
I'm sorry. I looked up Stanley, the search for Dr. Livingston.
Of course.
There's one entry from 4 years ago. It's ranked first, and it is 32 minutes and 58 seconds. And it just cracked me up that there's one, because I knew, I'm like, I have to look this up, because no one's fucking speedrun this game.
Yeah, somebody just like saw free high scores, like, I'm getting me a world record today, baby.
Maybe that's what I need to do is look up old Commodore 64 games I remember that probably weren't as popular. Like, maybe I could speedrun Raid Over Moscow. Maybe there's no record for that. Who am I kidding? I can't beat Raid Over Moscow. That game's fucking hard.
This says guides empty, resources empty, streams empty, like sub-games empty, nothing.
I will stream it one day for you, Dalton.
Oh, no,
Maybe
I know.
Submit my playthrough as the number 2 speedrun of the game.
Yes, motherfucker, there you go.
5 hours, number 2. There were some things I could clean up, but...
No, it's become a running joke to me because it's like no one I know has ever heard of this fucking game, but I've got a copy of it sitting right over there. Like the label's all fucked up, but it's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me because I guess maybe because back then, like, gaming media wasn't as widespread, so like when you just saw something on the shelf that looked good, you'd grab it. So people ended up with all these different kinds of games. Whereas now it's much easier to be like, oh, let me YouTube this game. Oh, that game looks like absolute dog shit. Never mind, I'm not going to buy it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, like I know that Predator is not a popular video game, and a lot of people have it ranked very poorly, but I've just always enjoyed it.
Hey, man, like the Compile Heart and Idea Factory, the guys that do like the Neptunia series and things like that, like people shit on those games. I love them. But people think that they're generic JRPGs, and I'm like, man, y'all just, I don't want to say y'all don't get it, because that just sounds so Rick and Morty fan-esque. But it's just not it's just not for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's like there are games literally that like I have no interest in, but like I'm not gonna be like, man, those games fucking suck, because they're just not my thing. Yeah. So now, if I play it and I do enjoy that type of game and the game is ass, I will absolutely say that the game is ass. Which brings me to a quick point about I am so happy to be talking about a decent game this week. So fucking happy. I know Dave can relate. Shout out Dave. Tyler and Dave play all games. That like when you get a game that's mediocre, it is very fucking hard to talk about, and I am so happy to have one that is good this week. And to then take that and make it into another segue back to the conversation we were having, but back again round to the subject. I feel like I speed ran the fucking MSQ for Fallout 3 because I already beat it.
Dang. All right.
I beat it. I rolled the credits, and had they not done the Brotherhood of Steel DLC, that'd have been it. When you what happens at the end of Fallout 3 used to be a Deus Ex Machina, like you had your choice, your character died, and like that was the end of the game. And if you wanted to play any of the side quests, you had to start over or go back to a save that maybe you had made before the game ended. Now with the Brotherhood of Steel DLC, they add in this other way to circumvent that, where you don't die, but then they mock you for taking that path during the ending scene, which is just hilarious.
Nice.
But so being is that I am way further ahead of this than you guys, I kind of want to know where you guys are at. I should really stop drinking carbonated beverages while we're recording. Cause I'm,
well, man.
But no, I know you guys haven't gotten super like delved deep into it, but I don't want to spoil too much main story stuff. So I've got notes for like side quest things, but I kind of want to know a general idea where you guys are at. Yeah,
it's interesting what you said too, is because like when you were saying it's like it feels good to be on a good game because it's so hard to talk about a mediocre game. That is 100% true, because I didn't play as much of this game as I would have liked over the last couple of weeks since the last episode, but I still have way more to say about it.
Yeah, I feel the same way, especially because, I mean, the first thing I want to bring up is, compared to, like, I guess, for me and Nate, our main reference point to games like this is going to be Skyrim, because we both played it pretty considerably, and one thing I really noticed is, even though it's a little shanty town built in a little crater, Megaton feels like a more vibrant city than Whiterun in Skyrim, which is supposed to be the capital of, like, one of the main places in the world, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I keep going back into Megaton and finding new people I'd never talked to, even areas that little, you know, buildings at least I'd never fully explored, doors at least. And, like, I didn't run into Mania for the first couple of times I was in there, talked to her for a little bit, ran into Jericho for the first time on my last playthrough. And it's like, just coming in at different times of day and going to different areas, it's like, it feels like a lot more alive than Skyrim, which tells you that Whiterun isn't a major city, but there's 10 buildings and 3 assholes, and that's it.
I think that it's because Fallout was a story based around the world. Skyrim is a world based around the story. And I think that Fallout 3 is able to flesh out the world much more properly, because most of the story is the fact that, like, you are in a fucking Fallout. The world has been destroyed and everything, whereas Skyrim, congratulations, you're the savior of the world. Go do this. You're going to get strong and you're going to beat the bad guy. Yay, fanfare. Like,
there's a lot more narrative, like not what's the word I'm looking for? Not even told on screen, but just you see it in the game narrative to the places in the game. Like when you're exploring Skyrim, it's like, here's a cave. It has bioluminescence in it. That's all it means to you. You find a little shack in Fallout that it's like, okay, this place was exploded when the bomb went off. You can tell that raiders took up a place in it at one point, but they all got killed too. You can kind of trace this little story that this little building has to it. And it's like that you keep running into that throughout the game over and over again, finding all these tiny stories and sometimes even terminals that have like journal entries, things like that. Is like, I don't know, it's so much more interesting to me than like a building with a diary in it and a skeleton in Skyrim.
Yeah, and to build on that is like if you go exploring just random places, like I went to the Springvale, maybe is that what's called, elementary school in the game, and I spent a lot of time there. It's one of the first places I really decided to buckle down in and explore. And you get so much just little bits of story about just a little place that's completely disconnected from everything else. Just what happened there just by going into that school. You get in there and it's been taken over by raiders, so you get to go in and kill all the raiders and all that stuff. And then like you'll start walking around and noticing all these things, like there's like cages with tiny little skeletons in them. So you know that there must have been like children that were in this school that are just dead, either killed by raiders or died from nuclear fallout. It doesn't really explain it to you, but you can kind of build your own story from just things that you're seeing in there. And then you get to the terminal, and it's like talks about like how there's ants in the basement that have killed a lot of them, and they're trying to build a tunnel from this elementary school into Megaton to kind of like cause havoc in Megaton. And so you eventually kill all the raiders and you find the key to the basement, and then you finally get to start fighting the ants down there. So it's like a little self-contained little story of something that's happening in that little world. And I don't think anything I ever saw in Skyrim was as in-depth or interesting as just that one little section of Fallout that I played.
It honestly sounds like there's more plot just in... God, I'm trying to remember the phrase. There's a term for this kind of storytelling where it's just based on the location, like what you see and what you can extrapolate from what you see. But there seems like there's more story in just this one elementary school, which I haven't even been to yet, than there is in like the entire Mage Guild quest line in Skyrim.
And I personally think that's because like Fallout 3 was still at the time where they were doing RPG. Like, you know, you can't aim down your sights. You like if you want to really do a lot of shooting, you're going to have to get used to using VATS. And then
you can aim down your sights. I've done it.
That's a mod thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think in the original version of the game,
like,
you could.
Because I have this rifle that I can kind of look down the barrel and aim for, like, it's not a big zoom, but it gives me a little bit of zoom.
Well, that might be that it's got a little attachment on top that lets you. But like, yeah, I mean, you can hold the button and it'll zoom in with the barrel, and you can shoot more.
Oh,
but like in say New Vegas or Fallout 4, when you hit that button, like your dude holds the gun up and you actually look down like the sights of the gun.
Gotcha.
But like, you know, you can't do that. VATS is very dice based, like the percentage rolling and all of that. So it's more RPG. Whereas Skyrim's an action game. As much as I love Skyrim, I've got like almost 1,000 hours into it on Steam. It's an action game with RPG elements.
And the funny thing is like the RPG stuff in Fallout, like VATS and everything, and the leveling up, which feels a lot better than the leveling up in Skyrim, makes this game a lot more fun to me.
Yeah, I agree.
If anything, the one thing that really, I think, slowed both of us down at first is until you have tethers into the world and know exactly where you're going, it's such a big and unfriendly wasteland. I mean, it's supposed to be a wasteland. It's a little intimidating, and you kind of want to hew close to home. Like, I spent a lot of time either in Megaton or directly leaving Megaton for a quest.
Yeah.
It's not until pretty recently that I started branching out.
And once I cleared up that elementary school, there were a couple beds in there. I made that my home for a while I started trying to do other quests. Because, like, okay, I got a little bit beat up by these raiders out here on the highway. I just need to kind of get back to my home, which was that elementary school, and take a nap for 8 hours and wake up and feel rested and not have any more injuries and get back out there. It makes such a big difference in this game when you have a bed as opposed to when you're just trying to wing it.
Well, I finally got a couple of places where formerly alive people were sleeping.
Yeah.
It's like finally knocking fast travel to there and back. And I'm really making a lot more use of fast travel than I expected, which I don't think everyone thinks of as like a purist thing or whatever. But if I was going to play this game without fast travel, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Just because the bed thing is so important, or else you're using all your stuff to heal and getting rat poisoning like crazy.
I just had a random thought, but going back to like kind of just exploring and world building as you see it when you're going around. I went into a house and it seemed pretty empty, you know what I mean? But like I made my way up, and in the master bedroom were two skeletons cuddled together in bed, and I was just like, oh, that's so sad, man. Like they were probably just like sleeping, just having a nice cuddle session for the night, and the apocalypse happened, but I guess they died together. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like a beautiful scene where it's like, oh, okay, this is like the end of the Notebook.
The first house at the beginning of the town of Minefield, when I went into it, that's basically what I saw there, and that's one of the reasons I was saying that there's just so much emergent storytelling. Not emergent. I'm not going to remember the word.
Immersive.
For it.
Maybe.
I don't know, but there's so much of this storytelling in the game that's just place-based, and you see so much and learn so much just from the fact that there's all those little things, just, I don't know, this is a cheap thing or whatever to an extent, but it makes it a little bit more real when you go into a house and there's just an empty crib in it too, and you're like, oh, that's what was up when things went down. It's like there's it isn't heavy-handed with it as it could be, but it kind of also gives a little of the sense of the human cost of war and all that,
Yeah, and I think it's more of like I like the fact that it's more of a show and less of a tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's times where you're just walking down the road and you'll see like a beat up, like what's it called? Speed limit sign, and you'll see a speed limit 55. You're like, oh, that's relatable. Then you'll see like the billboards from the time period that are like a little bit scuffed, but you can still kind of make out what they were showing, and just like stuff that stood through whatever fallout, but is obviously not in the same condition it was before it all went down.
Yeah, and I think the whole shtick behind Fallout is that, like, the Cold War went differently, and we stuck with nuclear power instead of going to, like, gasoline and things like that. I could be wrong, but that's why everything looks like it's straight out of the 50s. You know what I mean? It's because that era just continued on.
Yeah, there seems to be a combination of like a divergence there and then a nuclear war that I think took place in like 2076 or something like that in the game's plot. Yep. Somewhere like that. Like it took place in the future, but the future is still more atomic age retro-like than what we have, today. Like, I don't know if there was like some kind of push backwards, like a post-fossil fuel movement or something like that, but it does kind of, everything is a little bit more nuclear and kind of retro 50s in a way that I think is kind of neat.
Yeah, and I've been in a hotel that was a retro 50s hotel. So when I was walking around in there, I'm just like, man, this place just reminds me of fucking Fallout.
It was like what you were saying back when we played Portal. We were talking about that section down below the current Aperture Science labs that you fall down into. Yeah. It's just like that same kind of feel that you got down there, but that kind of feeling persisted throughout history instead of went away as time went on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a couple of the side quests that I wanted to bring up to you, gentlemen, that maybe you would go and check out after you hear about them, or not. It just kind of depends. I know you've both been introduced to Children of Adam.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I believe that if you don't activate the bomb, or if you don't deactivate the bomb, I believe there's a quest that has to do with them. But I fixed the bomb as soon as I could, so I have no remembrance of how that quest actually goes. But go ahead.
I haven't done much with the Children of Adam. I've met like the father, like the holy man of their group or whatever, and I've went into their actual church, I guess you'll call it, cult house, whatever you want to call it. But I haven't had much like interaction with them in particular. I've went up to that bomb in the middle of Megaton, and whenever I like press the action button on it, I think it'll say activate bomb, and I'm always just like, no, and leave.
I think that if you do try to interact with it, it's just going to tell you need an explosive score of 25 or higher to do anything with it.
And then
I have good explosives.
like kind of like
I love explosives.
What? if you got a good explosives, go for it. I mean, make a save first just to make sure you don't accidentally blow it up. But like the first time I have 25 explosives, I'm gonna go try and deactivate that bomb because I really don't care about this little goofy cult, and I'm starting to like a lot of the people of Megaton. So I'm like, I certainly like them more than the jerk that tried to get me to blow them up at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
So,
The guy that worked for Tenpenny.
Mr. Burke. Jerk.
yeah,
Mr.
Burke,
Jerk.
I still haven't met Mr. Jerk.
Got him.
If there's any British listeners, Burke is probably a worse name. Going back to the Patreon bonus. Like, I don't know. I haven't met any of the people from Tenpenny Tower or anything yet except for Burke, so I haven't, gone on that kind of quest. So I think I'm going to do it exploring around the southwest side, because when I finished the Arafu quest, I got a lot of little map markers that are like points of interest throughout the southwest to the quarter all of the map, and I'm definitely interested in checking those out. But then I have a plot point that's in a different direction too, and then it's like, I think I'm just going to have to explore the world for a minute, because
it's fun.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's fun. I also feel like the south side of the Potomac River, I assume that's supposed to be the Potomac River, but I feel like the southwest area, but from there, seems to be the safest area so far, because I don't know about you, Nate. No, wait, I do know about you, Nate, and when you first crossed that river... God. You want to tell us about that? Because
so we were talking about Arafu a lot, and we've both been to Arafu at this point, and so I was having a great time over there, honestly, because I got in there, kind of made my own second little base there. I found another place that I could have a bed and move from there. So I took a nap, slept until nighttime, decided to, there's a quest line there. There's this gang called the Family that's harassing the town of Arafu, and they're like, hey, and I was like, well, I'll go find the Family and take them out. I mean, how rough can they be? So anyway, I leave Arafu because I'm on this quest to go find the Family and figure out what's going on over there. And as I leave, I don't remember exactly which way I go, so I hope I can find it again, because I died. But
you went somewhere northeast of Arafu, guarantee. East and to the north.
Okay, that sounds about right. So I ran into this super mutant. The first one I'd seen, because I know y'all brought up super mutants on the last episode. This big old dude.
Was it by the drive-in theater?
Yeah. Okay. This big old dude. He had a board with a nail through it. And I swear, I didn't have a picture of what a super mutant looked like, but when I saw him coming at me, I swear it was like a mix between Drax the Destroyer and Shrek coming at me.
That's a good description.
And I was like, I gotta go all in on this dude. So I filled him full of lead, I killed him, I was like, that was awesome. Because he put up a fight, he really did. And so...
They're beefy.
Yeah, he's a big beefy dude. So I took his weapon because I liked it, and I like having a good melee weapon. It was actually the first one I found that's better than my baseball bat. So I grabbed that, and I kept walking. A couple steps later, I found these, what look like the old semi-truck tractor trailers, which is the trailer part of it, and I hear a shout coming from it. And it's another super mutant, but this one had a rocket launcher. And I think I remembered you mentioning this guy to me. So I approached this a little bit differently than you did. So as soon as I started hearing him yelling, and I noticed that it was super mutant, I was like, I carry frag grenades with me at all times. So I kind of walk to the opening, because he's still sitting in there, I think, getting his rocket launcher ready or whatever, and I turn on VATS and throw 3 frag grenades in at him immediately. And they all hit, and he's immediately crippled and can't use his rocket launcher anymore. Nice. So I take that spiked piece of wood I got from the other super mutant and just clobbered him to death with it.
I hadn't thought of using VATS with grenades
yet. Oh, it's
yet.
so good. It's so good.
I couldn't make grenades work for me yet. That's brilliant.
VATS with grenades, it's incredible. I've been loving using my grenades. I really enjoy them a lot. And so anyway, I took that rocket launcher. Then it was late at night. So I kept going. I was like, I know I was a little bit damaged, but I was feeling all high and mighty. I just took down 2 super mutants, feeling invincible. And I start going towards the side of the river. And I noticed there's a fire on the other side of the river. And I noticed there's a little bridge. I'm like, all right, let's see if this is the Family or just some raiders that I can take down. See what's going on over here. So I start walking across this bridge. I don't know what I'm looking at when I cross this bridge, but there is this horrifying, hideous white creature just standing over across the bridge from me. And this thing was freaky looking, and I didn't even get a great look at it. Before I knew it, I got hit once. Bam! It told me my right arm and left leg were crippled, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? I get hit again, immediately after it, and I'm just dead. And I told you guys at our chat about it, you're like, yeah, that sounds like a centaur. And I'm like, and then you sent me a picture, I'm like, that's the bastard right there. Yeah. And it was legitimately scary. I had no idea what was going on, and this horrifying monster just destroys me. I was like, I know this is our point of reference here, but God, that scared me way more than anything in the Blair Witch Project.
It looks like some nasty thing out of Doom 3, honestly. Like, it's got weird tongues sticking out of it, and kind of a weird, like, it isn't a centaur like you'd think of.
No.
It's like a gross...
Oh, it's like H.R. Geiger centaur style.
Right.
Yeah, when you were first telling me about that, I sent a picture of a deathclaw, because that's what it sounded like to me, was that you got whacked by a deathclaw.
Now we low level.
And then I found out that, and that's why I was kind of surprised. I was like, dude, he hit you twice? Because, like, I figured at y'all's level, a Deathclaw would absolutely one-shot both of you. No problem. Like, just whack you and you're dead. So when I was like, oh, it's probably the Centaur, which is another one of those things. And that was the thing, I think, last episode on Fallout 3, I was like, dude, these things are grotesque and terrifying looking. Like, they're absolutely terrifying. And
yep. You weren't lying.
when it's real quiet and you're, like, creeping and you see one just kind of... It's like... Think if anyone listening has seen Tusk by Kevin Smith, think of like the way that thing looked, but then it's also got like these giant tentacles coming out of its face and some other things, but it's got like that weird walrus-esque body shape. They're fucking terrifying.
But the thing that makes them a little bit more scary is they look distinctly somewhat human.
Yeah.
It's like, this looks like a mutated human that happened because of the fallout. And it's a horrifying thought.
They are pets of super mutants.
They're pets of super mutants.
Yes. Anytime you go near super mutants, you'll see centaurs or in later series, they super mutants have like these dog creature things that'll come at you. But yeah, if you ever see a centaur, there's probably some super mutants nearby somewhere.
Okay, but God, that just messed me up. Like, once that happened, I was like, it reloaded me back to my save in Arafu, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done for the night. I'm good, y'all.
Yeah, because I guess those, now that you mentioned where those centaurs are located, there's an area nearby called Germantown, which you'll find out pretty soon is overrun by super mutants, the Germantown Police Department or something like that. So that must be, I haven't gone to that area. I got to the area that gives you the quest to go there, but I hadn't gone up there. But now that I'm thinking about it,
that makes sense.
That completely tracks.
That makes sense. There was another monster I saw earlier on while I was running around trying to get to Arafu in the first place that I was like, man, that's the first monster that's actually kind of freaky in this game. And I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was like something Mire or something. It was like this crab man thing.
Mirelurk or something?
Mirelurk, yeah, that's
Mirelurk.
it.
Yeah.
And I thought that thing was freaky, and I was like, man, that's a pretty good monster design. I'm excited to see some more. I hope it's not ready for more.
Wait.
I think maybe a good idea for you to do would be to go to the to go back to the theater, because that's a fast travel point. And
it's not for me anymore. I lost my save, remember?
That's what I mean. Go to there again, go back to explore, and then fast travel back and make a save.
That's smart.
Because I feel like having little outposts helps a lot. Like, that helped me out a lot when I was on my way to Galaxy News, because the actual path to Galaxy News isn't straight in the direction it should. Like, if you put that quest on the map, it tells you want to go to the northwest a little bit. It's trying to get you to go through a subway.
I just realized how lucky I got. Because when I first was trying to get to Arafu, I was on the other side of the river. I'd like crossed the river and was trying to approach it from the other side before realizing it was on that side. So there was a good chance that if I would have kept going around to the other side of the river instead of crossing it back where I did, I might have ran into that thing before I ever even got to Arafu.
Yeah, and that'd have been like, well, fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense to get that fast travel point and travel back. Because like I was saying, I was feeling really invincible after I took down those super mutants, and I was just ready to keep going. I should have fast traveled back, saved, and sold that rocket launcher to the traveling salesman outside of town.
Yeah, the thing about the super mutants is I won the first couple of times I fought them too, and I'm like, oh, they must be so much higher level. Look how buff they are. I must be really strong. And the moment I saw the centaurs, I'm like, whatever that is, I'm not ready for it yet.
You're going to keep thinking that until you start seeing super mutant brutes. And then you're going to think that until you start seeing super mutant overlords. And, like, super mutant masters, they step up in their ranking. You know what doesn't rank up the entire time? Centaurs and Deathclaws. They are just fucking hard. And you mentioned Mirelurks. Yeah, they look like horrifying giant crab things. And wait till you see a Mirelurk king.
Oh, dude! But the funniest thing, my favorite thing about the Mirelurk is when I found him. When I found the first one I saw. I've seen a couple of them now, and they're not scary to me anymore. But the first one I saw, I was being chased by some just raiders. I was kind of low on health, so I was trying to get somewhere I could cram a couple stim packs real fast. This Mirelurk comes barreling past me and destroys one of the raiders that was chasing me.
I love the monster infighting. It seems like all the humanoid types will fight all the mutation types automatically. Like, they take priority over you, it feels like, in most of the fights I've been to.
I'll roll up and see, like, raiders fighting some super mutants, and I'll just crouch and just watch. And then once it's over, I will pick apart what's left. Saves ammo.
I love coming across
that's
corpses.
been a mechanic since... It's been a mechanic since the very start of the game, too, because, like, even in Vault 101, when the rad roaches appeared, like, the security guards would ignore you and go for the rad roaches every time.
I didn't notice that.
You know, I need to go back to Vault 101, because after 2 weeks of in-game time, if you go back there, there's, like, stuff going on, and I haven't done that yet. So, real quick, some side quests that I wanted to kind of talk about. One is actually to do with 10 Penny Tower, which neither of you said neither of you have been there. Mm-hmm. You will see it, especially like off in the distance, because it is a giant tower in the middle of fucking nothing. So, like, you'll just see this big fucking building in the middle of like a deserted area, and that's probably 10 Penny Tower. You roll up there, there's this ghoul outside who's talking to the intercom trying to get in. We end up talking to him, and he's like, you know, they're fucking bigots. We have this whole society of ghouls. We're having to live underground, and like we just want to be able to open up trade and like come and live here amongst the normal people. But like, what the fuck? They won't let us. So you can try to you have two choices. You can do what Tenpenny wants you to do, which is go and take out all the fucking ghouls, or you can be helpful to the ghouls and get them to be able to go inside. So say you do that. Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I absolutely love the ghoul that is in
Gob.
Gob, yeah, I love Gob, the guy that's hanging out with Moriarty. Yeah. I love that guy, and I've been talking to him a lot, and he was like, hey, you should go to see the other ghoul town. Talk to him. If you get there, ask for Lisa, or whatever her name is. Yeah. And I was like, I want to go there, and I want to see Lisa, because I love this dude. I'm going to be a ghoul fan this entire game.
I've run into a little subway station that had a few ghouls living in there too, and most of the ghouls I've met have been peaceful people that are just living their life looking super dead. So,
you'll find feral ghouls, and you'll have to kill.
I have run into feral ghouls too.
And you have to kill them. But as far as the normal ghouls, they all seem like they're just happy to still be around.
I mean, yeah, I'll run into feral ghouls. I've run into feral people all the time in this game. You know what I mean?
That's true too. Also, real quick, when you guys end up going into DC, the Museum of History is...
I know you mentioned that on the
ghouls.
last episode.
Yeah. It's a ghoul town, and it's really cool.
Nice.
Is that where the underground that they mentioned before is? Because I feel like I've gotten hints.
I thought I have to.
Might be. I haven't done that quest yet. Like, I have it. It's in my log to go do one or the other. But
it's like a museum down like the middle, a little south of the middle of the east of the map or something.
Yeah, I think it's over by the Washington Monument.
Yeah, because that's one task. That's like one little thing I definitely want to do is I want to find that ghoul town and go talk to Gob's people.
For sure. So how that quest plays out, and spoilers for anybody listening for some side quests. If you help the ghouls, when you go back to Tenpenny Tower and you go inside, all of the humans are dead, and ghouls have moved in and taken over. Like
nice. I'm for that.
Every fucking body is dead. It's
down with the rich man.
It's
Let's
hilarious.
Go. Literally eat.
Some of the other things that I had noted down was like Andale. I know I mentioned this last episode when we were talking about this. I didn't want to spoil it for you guys, but now I kind of want to.
Oh, that's what it says in your notes. I kept reading it as Andale.
Mama, uh-oh. Getting demonetized now. Oh yeah, it's Andale, and you go there, and there's like I think two families there, and they are super friendly, like super friendly, way too friendly. And they invite you in to like come have dinner with them and things like that. And then there's this old man, and the old man's like, "You've got to get the fuck out of here."
They're gonna eat you, aren't they?
Yes. So, he tells you like, if you don't believe me, go check out that shed that they keep locked. So you can either find a way to get the key, or you can use your lockpicking skill like I had and break in. And you break in there, and you see that there are just like bodies hanging around. There's bodies that are cut up. There's like strange meat is what it's called everywhere that you can gather.
Well, okay, that confirms my theory about the hunters I met and their strange meat sales.
Yep.
I saw them gun down some raiders and then try to sell me some strange meat. And
I think I saw those hunters because, like, I remember I was walking along the interstate and I just saw like these people in these hats shooting at raiders, and I was like, they look like more civilized people. I bet that's probably something. I might have had something to do with that.
It's a good possibility. But yeah, when you try to leave the shed, like you're surrounded, and then you have to like kill all the people. But then like they have kids. But then, like, the old man says that don't worry, he'll take care of them and stuff. But basically, like, the old man has lived in Andale his whole life. So, like, he grew up doing all this, but now he realizes that it's wrong and they shouldn't. So he's trying to put a stop to it. And so, yeah. So you can either, like, end up helping the people kill the old man, I think, or you can kill, like, all the cannibals like I did because, I don't want to get eaten.
Interesting.
Eat unto others as they would eat.
But it's very, like, I almost hate to bring it up and ruin it for you guys because it's very creepy. Like when you discover that for yourself, and you're kind of like, and you go into that shed and you're like, oh shit.
The thing is, I had it figured out the moment you started talking about it. Like I've seen too many tropes. That's very tropey.
Oh yeah, it was kind of like an ode to that trope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know if I brought it up last time, but real quick, there's a little. I'm going to end the episode with this song, if I remember. There's a Fear Factory Easter egg on one of the first terminals you find. It's written by B. Bell, which is the lead singer of Fear Factory. His name Burton Bell, and the song's called Archetype. And in the terminal, it says like the archetype number, yada yada yada, and all this type of stuff, which was like the number the album came out, what track, song. It was a cool little Easter egg. But then it says. But do not worry, the infection has been removed. The soul of this machine is improved. And that's directly from the bridge of the song before the chorus. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. It made me smile. I'm like, I love that band.
It's neat.
But it's, was it? Oh, I'm sorry. The Legend of the Mechanist and the Ant Agonizer. Have either of you run into these fuckers yet? No. I assume not, actually. So basically, it's called, the quest that you get is called the Superhuman Gambit. Let me say that right. The Superhuman Gambit. And it's...
Mon chéri, être plein encourages you. I am the Superhuman Gambit.
God damn.
Oh, hell.
There's a town called Canterbury Commons that you will roll up in. And when you roll up in, you'll see this scripted thing happening where there's a person dressed like a human ant shouting at a person dressed like a robot. And
fun.
Like they're like yelling at each other, and they kind of get into a fight, and then they break off and they both run away. And the people who live in the town come up to you and they're like, will you please handle this fucking situation and make these two fucking people go away? They're like, for God's sakes. So it turns out that the Mechanist is a superhero. The Antagonizer is the supervillain. And they're at war with one another. Her and her ants versus him and his robots. And yeah. I don't remember too much about the quest itself. I do remember running into these guys, though.
That's funny.
That sounds super
It's amazing. Hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It's the opposite of when you find that kid, and the kid's like, hey, I can't find my dad, and there's ants everywhere. Please help me. And then you go and just find his dad's corpse, and you have to go back and be like, sorry, kid, your dad's dead.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm glad to hear there's some levity later in the game, because a lot of the quests have been kind of dark.
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, you completed the first chapter of one of the most levity-filled quests in the game with Moira. Like, that crazy bitch. Hey, you're doing so well. Could you go get radiated for me?
No, I still haven't done that. I've been letting my rad slowly build up. I've been eating meat and stuff as I've been out and just needing a quick pick me up on hit points.
You can make your...
Okay, so you're up to the get a radio quest.
Yeah.
Too.
You could,
Good news. I'll just go ahead and spoil it for you. Guess what she does? She just
fixes you?
she just straight up zeroes your rads out.
So I wonder if I should just go stand in that pool next to the bomb and get up to 600 rads and go back up.
I got there naturally. You will eventually
Okay.
get there naturally, and it's not worth rushing for it.
Okay.
Just whenever you're high on rads, when you get advanced sickness, because I don't know exactly if it works the same every time, but I had a total of 3 special points of penalty from rad sickness, 2 on endurance and 1 on a different one.
I didn't know how rad sickness was going to affect you, so I'm really glad that you kind of informed me how that worked a little bit.
if you want to get rads very quickly, you could make your way to Vault 87, which I believe is somewhere like in the western area of the map. You end up having to go there for part of the MSQ, but you can't access it from the main. Like, you have to go in from another town and do some underground tunnel stuff to get to where you need to go. Because Vault 87, all out in front of it, is just completely nuclear wasteland. And I fucked up. I was over there, and there was some super mutants, so I was getting into this shootout with these super mutants, not paying attention to my rad thing up here. And all of a sudden, I just dropped dead.
Oh, wow.
Like, snap of a finger. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? So I loaded up again, and I ran over there, and I looked up at one point, and I was getting 42 rads a second. And I was like, oh, that's what happened. So I backed away and led the super mutants out and kind of picked them off. But I had to know. So I put in God mode, which is just hitting the console, typing TGM, hit enter, boom, it's done. And I ran to the center over by where Vault 87 is at, and the max rads per second that I saw pop up, I think, was 1,876.
Wow.
Which would just kill you instantly. There's nothing you can do about it.
So, question about
really
radiation poisoning stuff in the game. Is there a way to, like, I guess, like, since there's areas of effect that you just get radiated by being in, are there, like, radiation-proof retardant suits or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find radiation suits and, like, advanced radiation suits that'll help reduce radiation when you're near a high amount of it.
There's also like iodine pills or something called X, I think, that give you a resistance to it.
Oh, it's a resistance. I thought it took away rads.
No.
There's a reducer and there's resistance. I can't remember.
Rad Away is the one that reduces it, and then Rad X gives you plus resistance to radiation.
I think the X is the more common. That's the main one I found.
I found a lot of Rad X.
Like, when at the level I'm at, when I use Rad X, I have an 85 in my resistance, so it's pretty good.
I think your endurance also determines your special stat endurance. I think determines your radiation limit too.
Yeah.
So.
The drugs in this game, though, I didn't realize what they did and how they affected you. I think it was Buff Out that I took, because I think it said it did like HP plus 20 for a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just gonna heal me 20. I was just like, yeah, nice, a little medicine's gonna heal me. No, man, it was weird. I don't know how to quite describe it.
It gives you an extra 20 hit points. Like, if you were at full health and you used Buff Out, then you would be 20 over your max.
But I also feel like it did something like affected my vision or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a possibility too. It might.
Especially when it wears off, there was a weird vision effect. I was like, whoa, I forgot I was on it.
If you take too much of it, you will become addicted, and your character will start having withdrawals, which will affect your stats if you do not take it. So be careful. There's also, like, eventually...
I think that can happen with the alcohol,
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You can dependency on it. There is a stat or a perk later on that you can get that allows you to not become addicted to anything. Like, you can just take all the drugs you want. Like those dudes in American Horror Story Apocalypse. See, we're tying it back. Where they just had the urn full of cocaine. And they were just like, yeah, we sold our souls to the devil, so we don't ever overdose on coke.
And that's where the Rolling Stones came.
The other cool quest that I made note of was the Replicated Man, which this quest is the entire basis of Fallout 4, or it's the seed planted for Fallout 4, because there's a guy who's working on synthetic human beings who had one of his synths get away. And the synth had a memory wipe and a facial reconstructive surgery, so he doesn't know where it's at or who it is, but he needs you to find it.
Don't go into the details of that, because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I want to leave the little mystery on that one.
Rivet City. I'll tell you where to start the quest. Is Rivet City. You'll find the guy.
Okay.
There who asks you to do it. Really cool. It's based off of, I believe there's like a store. It's either a movie or a book or something that is the same concept. Here, I have this thing pulled up. I can actually tell you. What is it?
That one sounds really neat. I also love the idea of the mechanist and the antagonizer. Like, I kind of want to find that one.
Same.
Yeah, and like I said, Canterbury Commons to find that one, and I don't remember how it wraps up, so it's perfect that I can't fuck it up for you guys. But yeah, so the whole plot of Fallout 4 has to do with synths and synthetic humans and stuff. So it's cool that this is kind of just like I said, a little seed planted for the future to come.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's neat.
And then there's a quest where you can go capture slaves for slavers, or you can just kill the slavers. But if you kill the slavers,
what do you think I'm gonna do?
Well, I know. I would do the same thing, but just be prepared.
But what if you could sell dudes that suck to him?
Well, they have a list of VIP candidates that they are looking for. They're sending you out to go like hitman capture people.
Yeah.
But if you do decide to kill them, like any normal good player would do, be prepared for one of the bigger battles in the game. There's a lot of fucking slavers at this place. But yeah, man. There's little quests like that to find all over the place. Get very used to roaming metro tunnels, because that was one of the things, like, I'm assuming it's because of hardware limitations at the time. They couldn't make DC one big open area. So it's kind of split by these metro tunnels where it's like when you're going through them, these tunnels take you to the next area of DC. And at a point where you think that you should easily be able to just cut across this fucking alleyway and go to your quest marker, which is over here, which probably in Fallout 4 you would be able to do. You got to find the right metro tunnel and then look at the metro tunnel sign, make sure you go through the right door in the tunnel. You get used to it, but it takes getting used to.
Yeah, I think one metro tunnel.
Quick travel points will be fine.
I
was just gonna say, once you get the quick travel points to it, though, then it becomes less of a problem, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I found one metro tunnel station, I think, and it was full of raiders, and this was early on, so I was too intimidated to try to take them on. I think I'm getting to the point where I'm not really scared of raiders anymore.
Yeah, and there's a lot to find inside DC itself. I'll say that I have this vivid memory of there's an NCR base somewhere, and listeners, if I'm thinking of New Vegas, please correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's Fallout 3. There's an NCR base somewhere, and there's a whole NCR quest line, which is the National California Republic, or the New California Republic, excuse me.
I prefer MCR.
That's because you're not okay.
Teenagers do scare the living shit out of me.
Yeah, don't they, everyone? Yeah, goddamn.
You guys make me wish I was dead! !
Helena. Yeah. That's the other song I remember. Was it Hang 'em High? And then that's my knowledge of MCR. But there's like this big base, but there's a robot. There's like a Mr. Gutsy, which is like the floating ball with the arms, and he runs a gun store right there. It's like a munitions place, and they sell an anti-material rifle, which is like sniper rifle on steroids, 50 caliber shots. It's a bad motherfucker, and I cannot remember where the fuck it is, and I don't want to look it up, so I've just been going from place to place, like, all right, where the fuck was this? Because I'm just looking for this giant base, and then I'll be like, son of a bitch, there, because I've got, I don't know, 10,000 caps, 15,000 caps, like a good amount. So
that brings me to a question I have about weapons and stuff in this game. So I remember you were telling us spec into repair so you can repair your weapons. Is there a way for you to repair your weapons, or do you have to take it to somebody to pay them to repair it?
No.
If you have two of the same weapon, you can put their parts together and repair. And increasing repair stat increases the max you can do it to. So, like, if you buy an extra baseball bat, you can mash that together with your existing baseball bat based on your repair stat and make it have more durability, unless you've completely
like in your Pip-Boy. No, even if you've completely broken it, you can still use it, and it'll put a little bit back in there. But so it's in your Pip-Boy, when you're in your inventory and you're looking at your weapons, say you have 3 baseball bats. if you're using a controller, I don't know if you're using controller going mouse and keyboard. Okay, so it would be Y on my controller, and it might be triangle on yours, but it would be repair. And you hit that, and it'll bring up this little menu, and then you just select it. Now, be careful, because some weapons can repair other weapons. Like, I accidentally used my auto axe to repair one of my rippers one time, and I was upset about that. But you can use a lever action rifle and a hunting rifle to repair one another, that kind of thing.
That changes things. That really changes things. Because, I wish I had known that earlier, because I had a 10mm pistol I really liked that broke. And I probably could have used my silenced one to repair it a little bit.
Yeah, but it does claim whatever item you use to repair it.
I figured. I didn't like the silenced one anyway.
But yeah, so, that's why I always say, if you go to a vendor and say, for me, for instance, I really enjoy using the combat shotgun.
I do like that weapon.
So I always try to keep 2 or 3 of them on me. That way, when the condition starts getting low, I can repair it.
Very good to know. That's helpful as hell.
Yeah, for sure. And then your medicine stat is how much HP you get when you use stim packs and stuff like that. So if you want to be able to heal yourself more, pump some into medicine. And I think it also affects how the drugs affect you and that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm learning a lot right now. Probably should have asked this shit 2 weeks ago.
Quite all right, man. Quite all right. But yeah, once you get into a groove, and you kind of start getting down where your merchants are at, and right now, like I said, you guys have only Megaton and Wandering merchants, but once you get to where you can go to the museum where all the ghouls are at, and you can there's a vendor there, and then you got a vendor in Rivet City. There's places that you'll be able to just kind of pop around and be like, hey, have you guys restocked? Cool, give me all of your fucking stim packs. Give me all of your ammo.
Some places do restock. Does that also mean that they get money so that you can sell things to them again?
Yeah, usually. Okay. Usually. Or it'll be a thing kind of like you can do bartering, where it's say they have...
I'm just kind of worried about caps in certain types of ammo being limited resources, but if they can actually restock things, that makes me worry about that a little bit less.
I think it takes a week in-game, in-game time. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. But they do replenish, yeah.
That is good, because I was kind of running out of places to source 10mm ammo except for dead raiders.
Yeah, and just random ammunition boxes and shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it becomes easier. And then, when you get further into it, you're going to start killing more raiders and things like that, which are going to drop more ammunition, more armor, guns, that kind of thing.
Perfect.
So you're getting there. It's just, getting your bearings about you, which you guys seem to have done. So now it's you can work from there to really start going and exploring.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the raiders, especially the ones that are armed with a light gun of some kind, most of them are not well armored, so you can just kind of run up them and beat them to death with a lead pipe, and then you saved ammo, you get a plus off of it,
Yes.
Yeah. I need to go get that spiked club from the Super Mutant again, so I can use that. I loved that thing. I was so sad I died because I wanted that weapon so badly.
Wait till you see one running at you with a sledgehammer on steroids. It's called a super sledge.
That sounds so good. That sounds so good.
If you guys don't have anything else to kind of touch on, I have this.
I've left one little issue is just, I guess it's an aged game. I'm playing it very modded and all that. I'm still having crash issues, especially when it's underground.
Yeah, and when I was looking into that, the only thing that I could really find is that there was an edit the any file thing that might try.
I checked, and the one item it said to change was already turned to 1, which is what they requested. Yeah. So
then I can only chalk it up to it's just an old ass operating system.
I'm just saving more, which I needed to do anyway.
Maybe try knocking the compatibility to Windows 8 or something like that and see if that helps. But
I haven't messed with compatibility since we had trouble with the first install, so maybe that is worth looking at.
Yeah, I will say that I've ran into one soft lock where somehow I clipped into this wall and I couldn't get out. Don't know how I did that, but I just loaded my autosave, which was a room away, because that was when I was in the elementary school messing around. But I know you said there was a way you could get out of that with a command or whatever, but it was too late for me at that point.
No, yeah. You can toggle the collision lines, and then basically you can just walk through walls with that turned off. So if you ever get stuck and just hit TCL, hit enter, and then you can move kind of like out of where you're at, and then just hit TCL again, and your dude will set back down on the ground, and you're good to go.
Nice.
I have this article pulled up, gentlemen, that I want to read through real quick here at the end for us. It is a list of the 10 most disturbing Fallout vaults. Now, these are each pretty quick entries, but I figured I would see what y'all's reaction would be to some of Vault-Tech's horrors, because you guys haven't even discovered the half of how shitty Vault-Tech can be.
I haven't seen a vault outside of 101.
Nope, me neither.
I'm going to tie it back into the Patreon chat. If you guys aren't Patreons, you should totally go join patreon.com/thesteammachinepodcast. Oh my God, now it's blanking. The corporation, Nate, help me out, in Apocalypse, the shadowy organization.
I don't remember what it was called, but
it's basically like the Illuminati. But that's basically what Vault-Tech is a company like that, being real seedy. Probably had two dudes who sold their souls to the devil running it. Yeah. So number 10, Vault 27. Vault 27 has yet to actually appear in any of the Fallout titles, only bearing mention in Chris Avalone's Fallout Bible, a collection of documents providing a wealth of information about the Fallout universe. The experiment that was attached to Vault 27 is a relatively straightforward one. It was purposely overcrowded by 2 times the maximum capacity.
Yikes.
And it isn't difficult to imagine the immediate impact of such a drastic overpopulation. So these vaults basically were set up to be like shelters from the apocalypse, but there were experiments, basically at the same time, which is just how Vault-Tech rolled. So Vault-Tech number 9, Vault 19. This vault can be explored in Fallout New Vegas. Its original purpose was to test the impact of subliminal messaging on its inhabitants. Upon arrival, the residents were segregated into 2 groups and assigned one of 2 colors, blue or red. Afterward, the vault exposed them to a stimuli that were intended to provoke feelings of paranoia and distrust. Terminal entries within the vault indicated these subliminal messages were very effective, and the mutual distrust between it divided the population and approached a very violent climax.
Some Starbelly Sneeches.
Yeah. Yes, motherfucker. Yes. Number 8 is Vault number 12. It's perhaps Vault-Tech's most straightforwardly dishonest experiment. Vault number 12 was designed for a purposely faulty vault door that would not seal properly, allowing radiation to seep in so the impact of the human body could be studied.
That's so rude.
It's just pointless, too, man. You're going to find some wasteland people eventually. Why?
This would naturally result in the majority of the vault's population becoming ghouls. They would eventually emerge to found the ghoul haven of Necropolis, which the vault dweller can explore over the course of the original Fallout title. Cool. So at least it had a somewhat, I'll say, a quote-unquote happy ending. Like, they got their own little town out of it, but man, that's shitty. Number 7 is Vault 75. The experiment attached to Vault 75 is a solid contender for the absolute cruelest experiment ever carried out by Vault-Tech. Easy for me to say. Situated beneath Malden Middle School in the Commonwealth of Fallout 4, its stated purpose was to protect the school's students and their families from the event in a nuclear attack. Upon entry, the students' parents were separated from their children and were summarily executed by the security staff under the pretense that they were undergoing orientation. The children were subjugated to rigorous physical and mental conditioning. Those that did not achieve satisfactory results were disposed of once they reached the age of 18, and those who did were harvested for their superior genes.
Ew.
Jeez.
It's fucked up. That's not even close to number 1 yet. It's like, this thing is fucked up. Number 6.
Yeah, but they made me take a test, and that was
Hey, but you don't have to take that test. You can tell him, this is bullshit, isn't it? He's like, yeah, it's bullshit. You just want to pick your shit? Yeah, I just want to pick my shit. All right.
Huh, hold on, though. No, never mind. I was going to say, is it just Vault 101 that's the 50s thing, and that was the weird experiment they did there? But no, the rest of the world has a lot of 50s memorabilia in it, too. So I had to think for a minute.
Number 6 is Vault 22. The experimentation carried out in Vault 22 wasn't necessarily disturbing at its core. It was designed to sustain life purely by way of green living, quote-unquote. Keeping its inhabitants alive by the virtue of plant life that was grown and cared for within. The results, however, are where things started to get dark. A certain specialized fungus was used to keep pests from ruining their crops, but unbeknownst to them, however, the mutagenic properties of the fungus, once the spores took root in the human host, they would gradually transform into spore carriers, which are deadly and aggressive cannibalistic mutants that have claimed many lives since.
Okay, so this one sounds like they almost had a good idea and bad things happened. This is a little less Vault-Tec being Black Mesa and a little bit more Vault-Tec just being dumb.
Fun quick fact, in Fallout 1 and 2, you meet a guy who's got a tree growing out of his head, and in Fallout 3, you can find him, and he is now completely a tree.
That's awesome.
Number 5 is...
Guess I'm going to leave him alone.
You're not going to help him branch out?
I heard his bark is worse than his bite.
Hey, I'm just glad he's taking up roots somewhere.
Oh, man.
Hey, that joke was really funny. Not with a K.
Oh, my God. Look at the subscriber numbers just falling as we're talking this fucking while.
This is a bad podcast.
Wait, y'all don't like tree jokes?
Did you make like a tree and leaf? Leaf Garrett. Number 5, Vault 34. This vault is perhaps most famously remembered as the ancestral home of the Boomers faction in Fallout New Vegas. The Boomers.
Okay, Boomers.
And where they resided before establishing their community at Nellis Air Force Base. It turns out that their affinity for weaponry has some deep and disturbing roots there. Vault 34 was purposefully designed with cramped living conditions, as well as an absurdly overstocked armory full of weapons and ammunition. The cramped vault would soon become overpopulated, and the residents would continuously request access to the armory in order to protect themselves, which the overseer would deny. And this eventually resulted in a very violent riot.
As it would.
Yeah, of course. Number 4, Vault 106. Vault 106 was designed to simply begin pumping psychoactive drugs into the air filtration system a mere 10 days after the door had sealed itself shut.
So the party vault.
Yeah. Perfectly aware of the vault's purpose, the overseer directed security personnel to dismiss any complaints resulting from this. The lone wanderer can explore this vault during Fallout 3 and will quickly come to realize that these drugs are still being filtered into the vault. When they begin experiencing vivid and violent hallucinations.
Fun.
So,
I gotta hang out here. This sounds great. So this is a spot in the current game we're playing. That's great. What was the number again?
Vault 106.
106.
Vault 106.
Okay. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. That actually sounds interesting.
Yeah, I won't read the last little sentence, so I'll let you guys find
cool.
it and see what's inside of it.
Thank you, because we will have forgotten most of the other vaults next time we'll play a Fallout game.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But if it's one we're actually on.
Number 3 is Vault 81. The conclusion of Vault 81's experimentation is truly a rarity, as the Overseer realized the inhumanity of its purpose and put an end to it before any lasting harm came to its general population. In fact, the sole survivor can explore Vault 81 in Fallout 4, meeting its population of relatively sane and decent inhabitants. Originally, the Vault's purpose was to expose the population to an array of deadly diseases and illnesses, while a science team operated from a secret locale to develop the test the various cures on the subjects without their knowledge.
Ugh.
But, the Overseer said, fuck that, we're not letting that happen. So that ended up being actually a decent vault.
So an Overseer who isn't garbage?
Right?
Yeah, right.
Number 2, Vault 95. Vault 95's stated mission almost seems altruistic in nature. It was to serve as a rehabilitation clinic for chem addicts, allowing them to overcome their various addictions, be it psycho, jet, or anything of the like. Even as the outside world collapsed under a volley of nuclear missiles, but however, its true purpose was much less than kind. Although its detox program was a great success, a massive stash of chems and alcohol was hidden inside of the vault.
Oh.
And a planted resident would, quote-unquote, unearth this cache after 5 years' time. Predictably, this staged discovery of this cache precipitated the Vault's program unraveling entirely, and the population plunged into a chem-fueled anarchy.
Yowza.
Which I think that one's really fucked up. Like, you get everybody in there, and you're like, you guys are all clean, and we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden, you just have an access to a plethora of all the drugs you absolutely love.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucked up.
It's messed up.
But number 1, and This is interpretation, by the way. You may not agree with this list. This is on GameRant.com. If you have any issues, I'm sure that you could take it up with GameRant.com and not the Steam Machine podcast. By the way, if you don't agree with this number one, I haven't read these before this. So, number one, Vault 11. So this was one of the first ones built, I assume. Of all the cruel experiments in Vault Tech executed on unsuspecting victims, the one taking place at Vault 11 has to be the worst. Vault 11's inhabitants were instructed to select one of their own as a human sacrifice each year.
Oh.
If they refused, they were told that the vault would shut off its life support systems and the entire population would die.
I've heard this one.
In reality, should the vault residents refuse to sacrifice someone, the vault would provide an automated message congratulating them as a shining example of humanity. By the time they couldn't bear to sacrifice anyone else and bravely refused, its population had been whittled down to a mere 5 people.
Oh.
Unable to cope with their guilt after this brutal realization, 4 of those 5 people committed suicide.
Jeez.
Fucking evil, man. Evil ass corporation doing some evil ass corporation shit. And yeah, man, that's wild.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Oh my god, I could see totally like, yeah, get yourself an Amazon bunker.
Oh no, it seems so realistic. I hate it.
Right? It's like this one was sponsored by Facebook or Twitter, and it's like, oh no, thank you. It's like that episode of Black Mirror when the guy wakes up and he's looking around and ads just start playing on the walls in his room because everything has ads now. Like even just life. Like fucking crazy. Wow, I just had a fucking brain fart. Willie, going back to horror TV shows from earlier, real quick, if you haven't seen Black Mirror, I highly suggest that one as well. Really good show.
Okay.
All right. So
I've heard it's kind of a modern Twilight Zone, but kind of most of the episodes are about technology and its current role in the society.
Very, very much so. And might I suggest to have like an episode of Family Guy ready to go after each one, because each one is not going to leave you with a happy, fuzzy feeling in the slightest. Because they take very like serious looks at how technology could fucking affect us. And I think when I watch Black Mirror, I'm like, man, if they could get the guy who did Black Mirror series to do a Fallout series, because he could take all of this that he used with the technology and stuff and just convert that over to like making it nuclear and working in the Fallout. Now, I read somewhere that there is a Fallout TV series being developed for Amazon, but I don't know how true that is. If so, we'll see, because I think it has the basis, the story basis, for being something really cool in a storytelling medium.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the universe that Fallout has created definitely could be a pretty good TV show. It would just have to be done correctly, and they'd have to come up with the right format for it. Like, Are you going to follow the same characters, or are we going to get new stories every time?
Oh, they should absolutely 100% do new stories.
I agree, but
The big strength of the Fallout universe is the fact that you can just plop it down in a different part of the former U.S. and like have a completely new universe that's still completely coherent with the previous.
Yeah.
Like there's mods, dude, that like there's one that I was using. I actually uninstalled it to help figure out what the fuck was going on when we were trying to get this game to work for you guys. Like I uninstalled all of my shit to start it over to be like, all right, what makes mine work? But there's a Tale of Two Wastelands, which takes Fallout 3 and puts the entirety of Fallout 3 into Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, wow.
And brings it up into the newer engine. But there's a mod pack called Starstruck Courier, which takes that, but also adds in the New California mod. So it's like somebody has done a whole Fallout mod that's based in California. And then there's a Fallout London mod, where one of the writers for Fallout London just got hired by Bethesda as a story writer. So like people just take these like ideas and plop them down in different places. So I absolutely think that if they were to do it for a show, people are going to compare it to the game. If you try to do it in DC, they're going to be like, oh, well, you got this wrong because I did this in that quest and you didn't fucking do that, right? And they're not going to want to spend all the money to do it like Bandersnatch, where each quest comes along and you have a choice. That would be cool. But I don't think it would be as enjoyable overall. But I think if they took it and say they were like, we're going to do Fallout Wichita or something, you know what I mean? And
has there been a game set in Texas yet? Because that seems like a canvas.
No, there's been Vegas, DC, the Commonwealth, which is Fallout 4 is in the Commonwealth area, so like that little where all those little places meet. And
what little places?
The Commonwealth's like I think it's like Boston and like all of that little northeast area, all those little tiny states that all touch each other right in there.
New England, gotcha.
And I don't remember where.
And 76 is West Virginia.
Yeah.
And where did the first two
I am looking that up right now.
Where'd Fallout New Vegas happen?
Fallout 1 took place in Southern California.
Okay.
And Fallout 2, I think, takes place in the same area. Yeah.
Boom, put it in Texas. I got it. Nailed it. Easy every time.
Oh, to put it in Wyoming so that you're the only person that you see the entire time you're there.
That's like I respect Far Cry for going Far Cry 5 instead of going like some tropical island like they had been doing. They were like, nah, welcome to Montana, motherfucker. Welcome to the mountains.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, dude, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think we're gonna get like one more episode of Fallout 3.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, based on what you've told me and based on how my sessions yesterday went, I think that with 7 days for the short game and 7 days for the next game, I think I can finish, or 7 days for this game, I think I can finish the main quest at the very least before our next recording, especially if I split this week between the short and the full game.
Yeah, which...
Speaking of short games...
Yeah, I was going to say that our short game, what won the poll, much to my dismay. No, I'm just kidding. I did vote for Toe Jam and Earl, but the winner was Nights into Dreams. So that will be...
So is this a direct port of the Sega Saturn Classic that none of us got to play because we didn't buy Sega Saturn?
It's Dreamcast, actually.
Oh, that's right. It was Dreamcast.
Oh, yeah.
It was Dreamcast. I got it on...
I thought the first Nights into Dreams was the Saturn.
Well, I got it in the Humble Bundle that was part of the Dreamcast bundle, which came with... But maybe it was, because wasn't Sonic Adventure 2 Saturn, while Sonic Adventure 1 was Dreamcast? Because it came with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Jet Set Radio... Crazy Taxi, Sega Bass Fishing, and...
No, all those other games you said are Dreamcast games.
Okay, then I guess it must have been Dreamcast.
I thought Nights into Dreams was a Saturn game. Oh, well. Maybe they got a direct port to Dreamcast.
Well, it might have been one of those that came out on both. You know what I mean? It might have came out on the Saturn and then they re-released it for Dreamcast or something. I don't know. I at that point, I had checked out of Sega. You know what I mean? I had a Master System. That was my Sega system.
Yeah, no, I think we were all... That was the problem with Sega at that time, was we were all kind of checking out of Sega. But I remember always thinking that Nights in the Dreams looked really cool, so I'm really excited that it won for this week's short poll.
I've always been confused what the draw of it was, like when I've seen gameplay of it, because it just looks like a little on-rail shooter type thing. But people like say that it's one of the best games ever, and I'm curious to see like how it's gonna hold up. I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll be really excited to see how the gameplay works in it.
Yeah, and then we have another short game poll up, which is going to be for after Fallout 3, probably
before the long game winner.
Yeah, which we'll announce in just a second, because there's no way that thing's going to fucking lose.
Well, we shouldn't make a formal announcement just because then we close the poll and then we'll get into a huge debt.
That's true. That's true. Well, I won't say I wasn't going to make a formal announcement, but I was going to say like the leader of that poll. Anyway.
Go ahead. Yep. No, absolutely. It's no secret that right now, although I thought Metal Gear Solid 2 was going to be a far and away, because it's like a household name, like that game is behind by like 7 or something votes.
Yeah. The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky is at 11, which I guess is technically 10, but still, like that's
the most votes I think a single game's had in one of our polls.
It's fucking impressive. Yeah, it's a lot.
And it's up against Metal Gear Solid 2.
It's running away. It's wild. Unexpected, but not upset about it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it looks neat. I definitely did some reading about it earlier today to make peace with the fact that unless there is a huge tidal wave of Kojima stands flooding into the Discord anytime soon, it looks like we will be playing a nice little calm-looking anime RPG.
Yes. So,
yeah, Nights in a Dream was for Saturn. I don't know how it got put into the game, into the Dreamcast bundle.
Yeah, because I thought I remember Nights in the Dreams was the one that they made like the analog stick controller for the Saturn 4.
Yeah, it was a 1996 action game developed by Sonic Team, published for Sega for the Sega Saturn. Yeah.
Did it? So yeah, it didn't come out again for Dreamcast or anything.
Well,
Maybe it was put in the collection as like a bonus because it was like one of the most famous Saturn games.
It's the only Saturn game anybody cares about.
I was gonna say they're not selling a Saturn collection. The Saturn collection would be Panzer Dragoon.
which wouldn't you buy Panzer Dragoon?
Yeah.
That's another one of those games that I don't understand the appeal to it because it's just like, isn't it just an on-rail shooter? Again, it's just like, I don't know. But then again,
I feel like Panzer Dragoon feels like a modernization of Afterburner, which was a really fun game to play, so I could see it being a lot of fun.
oh, I have Afterburner on Sega Master System. Nice.
Yeah. If it feels anything like Afterburner or Space Harrier or something like that, I imagine it's a lot of fun.
But the next short game poll was up, and your choices are Toki. That is the first choice is Toki, which I think is like you play a little monkey and it's like a platformer type game. Your second choice is Ubermosh Volume 5, which I don't even know how to describe the Ubermosh games. Maybe like roguelike action. They're very strange. Third choice is Far Sky. Now, Nate, I know you looked into Far Sky a little bit. Do you want to talk about what you saw? Because I haven't really looked into it.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat looking game. It kind of reminds me of like an exploration type game where you're going to be spending a lot of time in a 3D exploration type environment. And, you know, it kind of reminds me of just like other games where you're just doing a lot of exploring, kind of like, I'm going to say at a much lesser scale, and a No Man's Sky type of thing. So it looks really neat to me, and I'm really interested to see how it plays.
Holy shit, Ubermosh looks actually sick. That looks like, I think I might just go ahead and drop my vote in.
That's really neat if you do that, because that means all three of us would have voted for a different game this time.
Yeah, I've just
And all three of us have made it a 3-way tie.
Oh, wow.
Ubermosh, yeah, those games, Willie, regularly go on sale for like 30 cents.
Yeah, currently the one that's listed, Ubermosh Volume 5, is 49 cents.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So after, so your fourth choice, the King of Fighters 13.
We had a lot of fun with King of Fighters Unlimited Match 2002, I think. So that's I wouldn't mind getting back into the KOF series, baby.
But the one that got my personal vote is the last choice, and that choice is Tekken 7. Because I'm a Tekken fanboy. I can't deny it.
Yeah, it's interesting that old Steamy pulled us 2 fighting games in this list.
Right at the end too.
Yeah,
like I was like, oh well, he's given me 3 that like no one's probably ever heard of. This will be an interesting poll. And then he hits me with King of Fighters and Tekken. I'm like, oh, there it is.
The interesting thing about Tekken 7 too is this is a game that has a current tournament fighting scene. Like, this is a game that's actively being played right now.
Yeah, it's still relatively new. Yeah, and it's really pretty looking too. Like, I'll say, like, I enjoyed playing it. Like, 'cause I'll install it every now and then, and, you know, get a couple hours of Tekken and then uninstall it. But but honestly, I'm up for whatever. Like, any of those games that win, I would be up for playing. Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that. And then,
yeah,
like I said,
I just want to drop in and vote Ubermosh because it looked like a wacky arcade game that's completely different to anything we've done so far. So that seems like pretty rad.
I'm looking at the long game poll, and I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Paul Korn for throwing a vote at Zanzara, the Hidden Portal, because I didn't think anybody would vote for that. Cause
hey, at least he's living by his truth.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Evoland. Have either of you heard of Evoland?
No.
So, the gimmick behind that game, I think is pretty fucking cool. You start out, and the game looks like an OG Game Boy game, like green and black, right? And as you progress through the game, you get these items that bring it up a little further into modern standards. So then eventually you'll add color. So then you look like you're playing an NES game, but then you'll evolve again. It'll look like a Super Nintendo game. And Evoland 1, like Legendary Edition, is 1 and 2 together. 1 was basically like a proof of concept, kind of like Portal 1 and Portal 2.
Yeah.
Where in Evoland 2, you start out looking like a Game Boy, and you finish the game looking like a normal game.
What's a normal game, Dalton?
Like a more modern style look, 3D. I don't fucking know. You know what the fuck I mean.
I don't know what you mean. That's why I asked.
Like a more modern turn-based RPG or action RPG, like more 3D Zelda looking,
Okay,
as opposed to 2D Zelda looking.
I'm sorry, I just genuinely did not know what you were trying to say.
I thought you were fucking with me at first, and then I was like, "Oh, okay. No, let me try to process this thought then," because my brain was jumbling itself. Like, oh god, it just kind of
What's a video game, Dalton?
a money sink. I mean,
I'll save my quarters. It sounds useless.
oh man, so glad that nowhere around here has arcade machines, because I would drop so many quarters. There's a place in Gainesville. It's a barcade, and I want to go check it out, but I know I'm going to spend more money on games than booze.
Oh, absolutely. That's why, whenever I go to the arcade, there's 2 arcades in Nashville that me and Paul Korn will go to every once in a while. And what they do is they just charge you a fee at the door, and then all the games are free to play after that. So it's like $10 for all day. You just get to go in.
That's amazing.
And go crazy. And I end up spending 2 hours playing Donkey Kong.
Yeah. I would be hitting up DDR.
Oh, yeah.
Getting down. Just jiggling all over the place. Yeah. It'd be fun. I think that is about all that I have. We do the housekeeping. If you would like to find us on social media, you can go to facebook.com/Steam Machine Podcast, or you can pop over to Twitter at Steam_podcast. I have not done that in a while. I'm surprised I remembered that. Also, I've mentioned it twice, but I'm going to mention it again. Patreon.com/Steam Machine Podcast. You can get the episodes basically the same night that we record them, instead of waiting till Thursday. You get some beginning bullshit like today. If you are a Patreon person, you get to hear us talk and rave about American Horror Story and pizza, which may not sound quite interesting, but I like to think that it was. And let's see what else. Oh, the merch store. I think it's tsmpproductions.threadless.com, or it's threadless.com/ts.
Put a link on the WordPress.
Yeah, I will put a link on the WordPress. Yeah, you can get yourself a shirt, all of that jazz. I released a new album, nileothenightmare.bandcamp.com. That one I do know. If you want to go check that out, it's 24 songs and a bonus song for $8. I know I said I was going to cut the album down and then just ended up putting more shit on there. I did the opposite of what I was trying to do, but it is what it is. I hope you all would check that out and enjoy it. And I think that all does it for my bullshit, so go ahead and plug your stuff, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say, definitely go to the steammachinepodcast.wordpress.com. You can find links to our social media and our Discord, especially there. Come join the Discord, Be a part of the show polls, so that we can get in there and have a good time and play the games that you want to hear. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter at TurtleBearman if you love to watch a guy fumble his way through video games or attempt to become a decent Predator speedrunner. I mentioned these guys earlier in the episode, and I want to go ahead and shout them out one more time. On Twitch, follow Usurper Grim and Kurt's New Brand. If Dalton remembers, those will also be in the show notes.
For sure. I just want to say, speedrunning Predator just sounds funny. And also terrifying at the same time. I was like, you don't ever want to encounter a speedrunning Predator.
Right.
Oh, man.
Speedrunning Predator, isn't that a cheetah?
Yeah, I guess that would be. And I stand by what I said. I do not want to encounter one of those motherfuckers.
What about you, Willie? What can we find from you?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, sounds good.
Word up. That's
it. That's all I got, man.
Drink water, take a walk, enjoy all the good things in life.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just take care of yourself, basically. So that pretty much covers what I was thinking.
Stay hydrated. We have been trying to set up some gaming in the Discord. So, I know we've talked about doing, some No Man's Sky gaming together with some of the people in the Discord. And then I believe it was Tux Deluxe was trying to set up a game of Torchlight 2 with me at some point. So that'll be fun to play some of that with him. So please come join the Discord. Eventually I'll get a bit.ly link and make that real easy for us to spit out here. But, for now, if you go to, like Nate said, the steammachinepodcast.wordpress.com, there's a pretty little button that says Discord. Click that, join. Come play some fucking games with us, and let's make fun of shit, because it's great. It's fun. And we like memes, so do you like sharing memes? Come share memes.
Did you make a pizza that you like the looks of? Post pictures of your pizza. We really are all about those pictures of food.
In the Om Nom channel, I'm all about seeing food. I really like taking pictures of food, and I really appreciate pictures of food. So yeah, please. That is.
We got everything from professional cooks to people that are just really getting into food photography to people that just want to post the thing they ordered from Pizza Hut. You know, like it's good.
Tell Ryan he needs to start posting his food pictures again.
Yes, please. I miss that.
Yeah, I'll let him know. Funny you mentioned that. He's going to be looking for another job, but we're going to have that conversation off air.
Okay.
Just because I don't know like what's going on. Anyway. Quick. Well, we're going to end on a quick note. For anyone who was asking me about my job and like what things going on, my buddy Nick, who got me the job, beat up our bartender who was drunk at work, and now he quit. So now I don't even know if I have a job anymore. So there's that. And for this week's episode of Steam Machine Podcast, they are the Brothers of Destruction, Nate and Willie. My name's Dalton. And as always, guys, war never changes.